Some stories begin quietly with nothing more than a single voice carrying through an ordinary morning. This is one of those stories not because it is dramatic or loud, but because it reveals how fragile a day can be, and how deeply a single voice can stay with us. On September 11, 2001, New York woke under a clear, peaceful sky. The sun rose over Manhattan, and thousands of people stepped into their offices without the slightest idea that their lives were about to divide into a before and an after. Among them was Melissa Cándida Doi, a 32-year-old woman who worked on the 83rd floor of the South Tower of the World Trade Center. She sat at her desk that morning just as she always did, coffee beside her, papers on the table, ready to begin another ordinary day. But the quiet routine ended abruptly when the tower shuddered under a violent impact. At 9:03 a.m., an airplane crashed into the South Tower. The force tore through the building, collapsing ceilings, shattering windows, and filling entire floors with smoke and fire. On the 83rd floor, flames rose quickly. Metal twisted, debris fell, and the exits Melissa had used so many times before were suddenly gone. Surrounded by smoke, heat, and falling debris, she reached for the only thing she could, a phone. He dialed 911. That call, lasting more than 20 minutes, would later become one of the most carefully preserved records from that day. The operator who answered, Vanessa Barnes, spoke with a calm steadiness, the kind of voice that tries to hold someone together when everything around them is breaking apart. Melissa explained where she was as best she could. Her voice shook at times, but she remained clear and determined, even as the air grew hotter and the smoke thickened around her. Vanessa listened closely, hearing not only Melissa's words but the pauses, the strained breaths, and the effort it took for her to remain present. As minutes passed, conditions grew worse. The heat intensified. The air felt heavy and burning. Melissa tried moving toward a window for relief, but the heat radiating from the glass forced her back. Her breathing slowed. Her voice softened, and the operator felt every shift. Vanessa continued speaking gently, offering comfort and refusing to let Melissa face those moments alone. Outside the tower, firefighters climbed floor after floor, pushing against time, smoke, and structural damage that made reaching the upper levels nearly impossible. Inside, Melissa held on by recalling what mattered most: her family, the life she had built, and the small pieces of everyday joy she wished she could hold on to a little longer. She spoke not only from fear but from longing, a desire to stay connected for as long as she could. The call continued until her voice began to fade. When silence finally came, Vanessa stayed on the line, calling softly, hoping Melissa could still hear her, hoping rescue teams might somehow reach her floor in time. But the South Tower collapsed soon after, and the line went silent forever. In the years that followed, Melissa's call became part of official records, documented in court materials, FDNY reports, and investigative archives. People who studied those recordings spoke not only of the tragedy of that day, but of the extraordinary courage in one woman's voice. Her final minutes were shaped not only by fear, but by clarity, connection, and the quiet strength of someone who kept speaking even as the world around her was slipping away. And on the other end of that line was a stranger who refused to leave her, whose presence offered the only form of comfort possible in that moment. Their voices, one searching for hope, one offering it, remain one of the most intimate and deeply human stories to emerge from a day defined by loss. Melissa Doi did not leave behind grand declarations or dramatic gestures. She left behind something quieter, something profoundly human, the reminder that a single voice can hold courage, fear, hope, and connection all at once. Her story shows that even in overwhelming darkness, the human heart still reaches outward, still searches for another voice, still tries to stay connected until the very end. And because of that, her voice never truly disappeared. It lives on in the people who remember her, in the operators and firefighters who carry her story, and in the quiet understanding that every life lost that day held a world of its own, filled with dreams, love, and a voice worth remembering.